Hey, so first off, I'm going to go ahead and apologize for the quality of my microphone. I'm using a headset and it is not great. I guess the point of this video is just going to be to kind of explain how I go about illustrating these sorts of pieces, the process that I myself use. It's not the one and only, it's not the best way, I'm sure, but it is efficient for me, and I don't know, I figured maybe it might be fun to try and do a little voiceover and explain how I go about it. Starting off, I'm going to say there's not a whole lot to line art for me. I just do it. I don't really pay any special attention to much other than trying to keep the lines consistent as far as weight and thickness goes. I am just going to pop out here and let this video play though, because there's really not a lot to explain about lining. So you're probably seeing a lot of flipping. I do that compulsively. It probably doesn't make for fun watching, but it helps me a lot in making sure, I guess, that things aren't crooked or wonky or whatever else. Also, I tend to do hair, face, eyes on different layers than the main body layer, and that's mostly in the event that I need to move the head around and lengthen or shorten the neck or resize it or anything like that. It makes it a lot easier. Same with eyes, having that on a different layer for me. Oh yeah, and don't be afraid to flip. Like, it's yours, it's not cheating. Just work smarter, not harder. I guess doing that allows it so that I can, like, if I need to move the specific pieces around, I don't really have to worry about having to cut around the hair or redrawing places or anything like that. I can just move it, and later on in the video I actually merge them and have to move the eyes around anyway, and have to redo the hair a little bit around that area, but it's not really a big deal. For shoestrings and laces, I try to keep the lines that I work with very similar but thin, because what I do is I basically make a new layer, or in this case I just duplicate the layer because it's easier for me, and then delete what's on it. But I make a new layer and I select the lines for the laces and expand that by 1 pixel, and color that in with black, and then go back to the original layer where I was drawing the laces and coloring it white. And I do that the same way with the loops. For like every, I guess, crisscross, I kind of make a new layer for, so that I can, I don't know, so it looks a little bit more organic, because if you don't, it's just going to it's not going to look like strings so much as just X's with that are lined around them. I don't know, it's hard to explain. I use this fill tool, not the default fill tool, but it's something that I found on the Clip Studio Assets store thing. It just makes it so easy to fill in my liner without having to select and deselect and all that good shit. I'm not sure what it's called, but it's probably one of the more popular tools that you can find on there, so if you do a little bit of searching, you'll be able to find it. I'm really sorry I can't help you find that though. I've drawn this character a great number of times, so I've managed to finally, after a bazillion years of doing these pieces for this person, got a little cheat sheet for this character's colors. It made it so much easier to get through it, instead of having to go back to my previous pieces and cutting the flat colors off and pasting it to this new piece and just eyedroppering it. I just have this cheat sheet now. Okay, with flats basically done, what I do now is I make 2 new layers, both with a light gray. The shading layer, I guess, the one that's going to be a multiply, is a slightly darker gray. And I add a clipping mask and delete what's on there, and I just go through and shade it like normal. I block in a lot first, and then I use a blur tool to kind of smooth everything out, and use an eraser to kind of crisp stuff up a bit again. It makes it so much easier than going in with different colors, when I can just focus on the where the shadows fall. Just in general, I don't have to worry about colors and stuff yet. But you see with the cheat sheet that I made for myself, next to the base colors that I had already filled in is going to be the color that I use whenever I change the multiply layer to what it needs to be. And you'll see me do that in a few minutes, I guess. So I'm not going to do any kind of fur tutorial or anything, but I will kind of give a brief explanation of what I do. I just kind of blob it on there. No joke, I just blob on the colors and, or not the colors, but the, whatever it is, the multiply layer, I just blob on whatever I'm doing there, and blur it and then erase a bunch, and just in little dots, I guess, to make it look lumpy. But that's literally it. There's not a whole lot to it. I just kind of mess around until something looks okay. And I guess that's kind of the whole thing behind doing art in general. Mess around until it looks good. Okay, so I think I was checking to see if the fur looked okay without the gray on top, like on the regular colors. I think I was fine with it, so I moved on. And here I go. I start with the skin color, and after that I work on individual colors outside of that. I don't know why I pick skin. Maybe because I added like blush and stuff to her fingers, cheeks, and boobs. It makes it a lot easier just to start with skin, since there's a bit of variation to the color, than to have to go and magic wand tool all those little pixel differentials. I don't know. With shading, I never just pick from that color and do like the yellow on the yellow. I have to go and pick a different color a little bit away from it on the color wheel. With the white though, that one's just kind of tricky. I tend to go with a yellowish base and a more bluish or purplish shading, or I guess. It just kind of depends. I just kind of see what looks good. With too much blue, so I had to pick a purple. And likewise, if I do like a more bluish white underneath, I tend to go for a more yellow or reddish kind of color for the shadows on it. You really don't want to make skin too shiny. Under the eyes and around the lips and nose is fine, but whenever you're going for broad areas like the breasts or something, you don't want to make it too shiny because it's silly. Skin doesn't work that way. Like, the more subtle it is, the better it looks, in my opinion. Unless they're supposed to be kind of wet or something. But she's not, she's just chilling. Here I'm recoloring the line art. What I do here is I set a copy of it to overlay on top of that, just plain black lines, and then I put a sort of like dark desaturated purple or blue on top of the original lines, and turn the opacity of that down to about 50% or less. no less than like 30% usually, and then I erase it around the eyelashes where it's supposed to be darker. And that's it for the lines. In the background, I just kind of mess with colors. And then I don't do like eye shine highlight things below the line art. I always do it above everything, but still within the folder that all the colors and lines are in. And textures make the world go around, so I use a butt ton of those. And thanks for watching. That's basically it. Sorry about my voice being so monotonous, but here we are. Bye guys.